Epic foundational narratives usually end with sweeping conquests, returning heroes, or the crowning of kings. But the book of Genesis, the foundational text of the Israelites, ends here. Look at this wooden sarcophagus and the wrapped mummy inside it. It's an unmistakably Egyptian burial, a quietly unsettling final image for a story about a family promised the land of Canaan. This sudden shift into Egyptian death rituals begins with a major crisis. Jacob, the last of the three great founding patriarchs, has died. Immediately, the cultural surroundings take over. His son Joseph, acting as the second most powerful man in Egypt, commands his physicians to embalm his father. For 40 days, the Hebrew patriarch is subjected to a strict Egyptian preservation process. Jacob's death triggers a terrifying political reality. For decades, he was the only figure holding his fractured sons together. With the patriarch gone, a power vacuum opens up, leaving the remaining brothers fearing for their lives. Before the brothers can deal with their panic, they have to bury their father. When the procession leaves Egypt, it includes Pharaoh's highest servants, the elders of his court, and all the dignitaries of the land. This stone relief shows a horse-drawn chariot, representing the kind of heavy military escort required to move a procession of this scale across the ancient Near East. The Egyptians fully integrate their empire's military apparatus into a Hebrew funeral. The sheer size of this caravan overwhelms the local Canaanite population. When the procession stops at the threshing floor of Atad, the locals observe the massive mourning rituals and actually rename the site Evel Mitzrayim, literally the mourning of Egypt. The caravan finally arrives at these massive ancient stone walls, the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron. By placing Jacob here, the family closes a multi-generational loop that started when Abraham originally purchased the field. This royal-level burial securely anchors the family's historical roots in the Promised Land. But the moment the tomb is sealed, the brothers must pack up and return to Egypt, leaving their immediate future completely exposed. Once the mourning period ends and the family returns to Egypt, the brothers' simmering anxiety turns into sheer panic. They are convinced that Joseph has been playing a long game. Decades earlier, they threw him in a pit and sold into slavery. In their minds, Joseph was only keeping the peace out of respect for their father. Now that Jacob is dead, they assume the delayed execution is finally coming. In response, they attempt a desperate tactical lie. They send a message to Joseph claiming that, right before he died, Jacob left a final binding command demanding that Joseph forgive his brothers. Following the message, the brothers enter Joseph's court and throw themselves face down at his feet, offering to be his slaves. This physical submission fulfills the very childhood dreams that made them hate Joseph in the first place. It also poses the ultimate test. Will this family survive or finally tear itself apart? Confronted with his brothers groveling in terror, Joseph doesn't summon the bards. Instead, he breaks down weeping. He delivers a psychological breakthrough that defines the rest of the text. As visualized here, human malice and divine intent are often two opposing forces charting different paths. Joseph looks at his brothers and says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." He recognizes that their cruelty and his suffering converged into a single life-saving outcome. This realization halts a generational pattern of violence. From Cain murdering Abel to Jacob and Esau's bitter rivalry, brotherly conflict fractured the family. By choosing to read history as guided by a higher purpose, Joseph stops the cycle. He backs up this philosophical shift with a practical guarantee. He tells them not to be afraid, promising to feed, sustain, and protect both them and their children. Joseph achieves something his ancestors never could. He replaces the concept of blind, tragic fate with that of historical purpose. The trauma remains part of their story, but it is given meaning, allowing a deeply broken family to finally heal. The remaining decades of Joseph's life are peaceful. He continues his rule in Egypt, living to the age of 110, and experiences the joy of seeing his great-grandchildren born and raised upon his knees. When Joseph's own deathbed scene arrives, it completely upends the expectations set by his father's passing. Given his high status, Joseph could have commanded an even grander military procession back to Canaan. He explicitly chooses not to do so. Instead, he forces the children of Israel to swear a binding oath. He prophesies,
God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up from this place. He turns his death into a command, tying his physical remains to their ultimate exodus. In the immediate aftermath, there is no massive wailing, no chariots, and no journey. As seen in this wooden sarcophagus, Joseph is embalmed and placed in a box that stays in Egypt. Jacob's grave permanently anchored the people to their past, but Joseph's coffin acts as an anchor for their future, an undeniable reminder of their coming redemption. Genesis ends intentionally in a state of suspended animation. It closes the tumultuous story of a single family, but it leaves a box waiting in Egypt, a powerful catalyst waiting to open the epic story of a nation.